The power of stillness in a world that never stops. Hey there, friends of the Daily Stoic Mindset. Picture this. It's 6 a.m., your alarm blares, and before you even rub the sleep from your eyes, your phone lights up with notifications, emails from work, breaking news alerts, a text from your friend about last night's game, and that nagging reminder to pay the electric bill. You're already running, and the day hasn't even started. Your coffee's brewing, the kids are yelling, and somewhere in the chaos, you're supposed to find time to be, what? Productive? Happy? Yourself? We live in a world that never stops moving, never stops demanding, never stops shouting for our attention. And yet, deep down, don't you feel it? That quiet ache for something slower, something still, a moment to just breathe. Today, we're diving into something ancient, something powerful, something that can change the way you navigate this relentless world, the Stoic art of stillness. This isn't just about sitting cross-legged in silence, it's about finding peace in the storm, wisdom in the noise, and strength in the pause. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have practical tools to reclaim your calm, no matter how loud life gets. Let's talk about the power of stillness in a world that never stops. You know that feeling when you're stuck in traffic, late for a meeting, and your mind's racing a million miles an hour? Or when you're scrolling through social media, comparing your messy life to everyone else's highlight reel? That's the opposite of stillness. It's the chaos we've normalized, the frenzy we've been taught to embrace. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly at peace? Not distracted, not numb, but deeply, quietly present. If you're drawing a blank, you're not alone. Most of us are so caught up in the grind, work, family, bills, goals, that we've forgotten what it's like to just be. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who faced wars, plagues, and personal tragedies, knew this struggle. They lived in a world that was just as chaotic in its own way. And they found a way to thrive, not by outrunning the noise, but by stepping into the stillness at the heart of it. Let's start with a story that hits close to home. Imagine Sarah, a 35-year-old single mom in Chicago. She's juggling a full-time job, 2 kids, and a never-ending to-do list. Every day feels like a sprint. Drop the kids at school, rush to meetings, answer emails during lunch, pick up groceries, cook dinner, collapse into bed, and do it all again tomorrow. She's exhausted, not just physically, but mentally. She feels like she's failing at everything because she's stretched so thin. One night, after a particularly rough day, she sits on her couch, staring at her phone, and realizes she can't remember the last time she felt okay. Not great, not perfect, just okay. That's when she stumbles across a quote from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who somehow found calm while ruling an empire. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Sarah reads it again, and something clicks. The world isn't going to slow down for her, but maybe she can find a way to slow down inside. This is where the Stoics come in. They weren't monks hiding in caves, they were people like us, living in the thick of it. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor with a crumbling empire. Seneca was a playwright and advisor dodging political plots. Epictetus was a former slave who turned his suffering into wisdom. They all faced a world that wouldn't stop, and they all found stillness by mastering their inner world. So, how do we do that? How do we find stillness when life feels like a treadmill stuck on max speed? Let's break it down with 3 Stoic lessons you can start using today, each paired with practical steps and quotes to guide you. First, let's talk about focus, what the Stoics called the discipline of perception. In a world bombarding us with distractions, stillness begins with choosing what deserves your attention. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Think about that. How much of your stress comes from things you can't control? The news cycle, your boss's mood, what someone said about you online. The Stoics teach us to let go of what's outside our control and focus on what's within it, our thoughts, our actions, our choices. For Sarah, this meant realizing she couldn't control her demanding job or her kids' tantrums, but she could control how she responded. She started small. Every morning, she'd spend 5 minutes journaling one thing she could control that day. Maybe it was staying patient during a meeting or taking a deep breath before reacting to her kids. That tiny act of focus gave her a sense of power. a foothold in the chaos. Here's how you can apply this. Grab a notebook or even your phone's notes app. Each day, write down one thing you can't control that's stressing you out. Maybe it's the weather, a coworker's attitude, or a looming deadline. Then, write one thing you can control in response. For example, if you're stressed about a tight deadline, you can't control the deadline, but you can control how you prioritize your tasks or ask for help. This exercise trains your mind to zoom in on what matters and let the rest fade. It's like tuning a radio to a clear signal instead of static. Over time, you'll notice your mental clutter thinning, making room for stillness. Next, let's explore the Stoic practice of negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. Sounds intense, right? It's actually simple. You imagine the worst-case scenario. Not to stress yourself out, but to prepare your mind and strip away fear. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." In other words, our minds amplify problems when we avoid thinking about them. By facing them head-on, we take away their power. Let's go back to Sarah. She was terrified of losing her job. It kept her up at night, imagining how she'd pay the bills or feed her kids. So, she tried negative visualization. She sat down and thought through the worst case: getting laid off, struggling financially, maybe even moving in with her parents. She didn't stop there, though. She asked, "What could I do if this happened?" She realized she could update her resume, network with old colleagues, or pick up freelance work. The fear didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. She felt lighter, more grounded, because she'd faced the monster and found it wasn't as big as she thought. You can do this too. Pick something that's eating at you. Maybe it's a health worry, a relationship issue, or a financial stress. Set aside 10 minutes and imagine the worst outcome. Be specific, but don't wallow. Then, ask, what steps could I take if this happened? Write them down. Maybe it's calling a friend for support, cutting expenses, or researching solutions. The goal isn't to dwell on doom but to realize you're tougher than you think. This practice creates mental stillness by reminding you that you're not at the mercy of life's storms. You've got a lifeboat, and you know how to use it. The third lesson is about embracing the present moment, what the Stoics called amor fati, or love of fate. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart." This is about saying yes to life as it is, not as you wish it to be. For Sarah, this meant stopping her constant fight against her crazy schedule and instead finding moments of joy in it. She started noticing small things: the way her daughter giggled during breakfast, the warmth of her coffee mug, the satisfaction of crossing off one task. These weren't big wins, but they anchored her in the now. She wasn't just surviving her day, she was living it. Here's a practical way to try this: the Stoic pause. A few times a day. Stop what you're doing for 30 seconds. Take a deep breath, look around, and notice 3 things. Maybe it's the sound of birds outside, the feel of your chair, or the smell of your lunch. Don't judge, don't overthink, just notice. This tiny pause pulls you out of autopilot and into the present. It's like hitting the reset button on your mind. Try it when you're stressed, rushed, or stuck in a mental loop. Over time, these pauses add up, weaving stillness into your day like threads in a tapestry. Now, let's zoom out and see how these lessons fit together. The discipline of perception helps you filter the noise and focus on what you control. Negative visualization prepares you for life's curveballs, so they don't knock you off balance. And amor fati roots you in the present, turning even tough moments into opportunities for gratitude. Together, they create a kind of inner fortress, a quiet, unshakable core that no amount of external chaos can touch. This is the power of stillness. It's not about escaping the world, it's about finding a center within it. But let's be real, this isn't easy. We're conditioned to move fast, to react, to fill every second with something. Stillness feels foreign, even uncomfortable at first. That's okay. The Stoics didn't expect perfection, they expected effort. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom, like stillness, is a practice. You don't have to be a philosopher or meditate for hours. Start small. Journal for 5 minutes. Try a Stoic pause. Face one fear with negative visualization. These are seeds, and with time, They grow into habits that transform how you experience life. Let's bring this home with a modern example. Meet John, a 42-year-old software engineer in Seattle. His life's a pressure cooker, deadlines, meetings, and a constant stream of Slack messages. He used to cope by binge-watching shows or scrolling X, but it left him feeling empty. Then he found Stoicism through a podcast and decided to experiment. Every morning, he spent 10 minutes practicing the discipline of perception, listing what he could control, his work ethic, his attitude, and what he couldn't, his team's delays, the company's decisions. At lunch, he'd do a stoic pause, noticing the taste of his sandwich or the breeze outside. When anxiety about a big project hit, he'd use negative visualization, imagining a failed presentation and planning how he'd recover. Slowly, John noticed a shift. He wasn't as rattled by setbacks. He felt more present with his wife and kids. Work didn't own him anymore, he owned his response to it. John's life didn't slow down, but he did, and that made all the difference. You can do this too, wherever you are. Whether you're a parent like Sarah, a professional like John, or just someone feeling overwhelmed by life, Stoicism offers a path to stillness. It's not about changing the world around you, it's about changing how you move through it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's the secret. The world will keep spinning, but you don't have to spin with it. You can choose stillness. You can choose peace. As we wrap up, I want you to take a moment and breathe. Really, do it. Inhale deeply, hold it, and exhale slowly. Feel that? That's a taste of stillness. Right here, right now. You don't need a mountaintop or a week off work. You just need a moment and the courage to claim it. The Stoics gave us tools, focus, preparation, presence, to build a life that's not just reactive but intentional. They remind us that no matter how loud the world gets, we have a quiet place inside us, waiting to be found. So here's your challenge this week. Pick one Stoic practice we talked about. Maybe it's journaling what you can control, trying a Stoic pause, or facing a fear with negative visualization. Commit to it for 7 days. It doesn't have to be perfect, just consistent. Write down what you notice. Do you feel calmer? More grounded? Share your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear how it goes. And if you're hungry for more wisdom like this, hit that subscribe button and join the Daily Stoic Mindset community. We're here every week, exploring how to live with resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. The world won't stop, but you can. You have the power to pause, to breathe, to choose. So go out there and find your stillness. This is the Daily Stoic Mindset, and I'll see you next time.